Modern society quietly forces you to choose. You can be productive or fit or calm, but almost never whole. Today I want to share a philosophy that emerged from my science practice over the last years, a way of approaching the body and mind that I've come to call the silence athlete. In my last video I talked about the radiance of silence, my practice for connecting directly to that quiet, profound intelligence underneath all the noise. Through that continued practice and the recalibration of my compass of silence, a lot of small counterbalances started to appear in my daily life. Tiny adjustments in how I move, eat, rest, work, and train. Over time, those small counterbalances added up, and out of that accumulation, this philosophy emerged. In our accelerated society, caring for the body became an essential infrastructure for deeper silence practice. So practice for the body and mind go hand in hand and are inseparable, which I will also talk about later. At the same time, it offers a path to staying healthy for your entire life, across all the essential areas of well-being, instead of becoming a slave to one single specialization or to become sick by our modern environment. So essentially, the science athlete is a high-level operating system for wholeness, a way of organizing your whole life that emerged for me through direct silence practice. It's not another video with a list of exercises or a new workout routine. Instead, I'm going to describe the high-level philosophy and then briefly show you how this took shape for me in my specific situation. So in order to understand why the science athlete emerged for me, we first need to get familiar with the environment we live in. And we live in the so-called modern accelerated society, or MAS for short. MAS is the visible operating system for our world, driven by dynamic stabilization, meaning it must constantly accelerate just to keep itself alive. And this acceleration has been imprinting itself onto our whole being for generations, since birth, 24/7, and now with AI, faster than ever. And this creates an environment detrimental to our health. So if you want to understand the deeper mechanics of this force, I highly recommend checking out my last video, where I break it down in a little more detail. So we live in an environment where almost everything is working against our body and mind. So the following should sound familiar to you. Ultra-processed food are everywhere. They're engineered for addiction, oversaturated with high sugar and unhealthy fats. We are surrounded by convenience-based services. We have cars, elevators, supermarkets, and delivery services. That means we no longer need to move to survive, leading to weak, sedentary bodies. Our minds get trapped in the attention economy. This hijacks your brain from every direction, creating information overload and digital burnout. We live at a relentless 24/7 pace. This leaves almost no time or space for true deep recovery. So how does our society deal with these problems? It has developed two big high-level solutions, which are powerful in their own way, but both of these solutions are incomplete. The first solution is our official health system. And I want to be absolutely clear. This system is one of the greatest accomplishments in human history. Peter Attia in his book Outlive gives it the name Medicine 2.0. Medicine 2.0 is a scientific marvel. It is an incredible reactive machine that is amazing at saving us from what Attia calls fast death, acute sickness, infections, and trauma. This is important and we need this. It is the reason we survive infections, appendicitis, and childbirth. It literally doubled our lifespan. It's also a system you rely on when something acute happens, a crash, a fracture, a medical emergency where minutes matter. But this is where its power largely ends. It keeps you alive when the worst happens, but it cannot keep you whole or safeguard your well-being over a lifetime. Medicine 2.0 was never designed to handle what Attia called slow death, the chronic diseases that kills most of us today, the four horsemen of heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease, and metabolic dysfunction. So the system isn't bad, it is incomplete. It is designed to intervene only when a crisis has fully manifested, or when the damage is deep and the disease is already in an advanced state. By definition, it waits until your health has failed before it offers to help. Running next to this official health system is the second incomplete solution. It's the Specialization Marketplace. This is the economic world of wellness. Gyms, yoga studios, diet plans, fitness influencers, tracking apps. Everything that is supposed to fix how your body feels when you're stiff, weak, or out of shape. And it is incomplete for the same reason. It is also a product of mass. It uses the same mind-dominated logic. It turns wholeness into isolated competing areas. For example, the marketplace sells you a bodybuilding program to build muscle only, or a mobility course to get flexible only, or a meditation app that instructs you to do things with your mind only. Slowly your body becomes fragmented by these narrow goals, but true wholeness requires some degree of muscle, some degree of flexibility, some degree of endurance, and much more. All of that integrated at the same time. But wholeness does not exist in the specialization marketplace, at least not for now. It is an economy built on selling pieces, not the whole. What is fascinating is that the marketplace is just starting to wake up to this. You see high-level specialists like the bodybuilder Gene Teo openly admitting that they became broken and fragile from their own specialization. The industry starts offering hybrid models. Maybe you have heard of hybrid training. Okay, be a bodybuilder and also add cardio. But this is still the same pattern. It is the mind-dominated system trying to analytically build what it cannot intuitively feel. So in the end, you are left with two incomplete offerings: the reactive but life-saving medicine 2.0 and the specialization marketplace. Both are missing the one thing that can actually provide wholeness: the profound, proactive, and preventative influence of silence. And this is exactly where the solution that emerged from my science practice comes into play. The purpose of the science athlete is to walk a lifelong journey of wholeness in the middle of mass. This is the missing piece that the other two solutions miss. It's not about replacing them, it's about transcending them, integrating only the essential things that our body needs for wholeness. Athlete here does not mean competing with other people, winning medals, or entertaining an audience. It means proactively and consistently investing energy into the practices that keeps you whole, creating counterbalances to the very strong influences that are coming from us every single day, all the time. Mars is an earth-altering, multi-generational force. It reshapes how we eat, move, sleep, work, and relate to each other. So it also requires an equally deep response, not just a new workout plan, but a new way of orienting your life. That orientation for me is silence. Silence has shown me the real purpose, the true healing potential of exercising the body and mind in mass. Something completely different from what the specialization marketplace and 99% of influencers are trying to sell you. That is the reason I experience science as the far superior healer, and that is why it is the operating system of the science athlete. In his book Outlive, Peter Thiel describes what he calls Medicine 3.0, his vision for a better healthcare: prevention, individuality, honest risk assessment, and health span over lifespan. The funny thing is, science already embodies all of this naturally. I only recently picked up this work, and what struck me was that I arrived at these principles independently, through years of practice, not through reading. So in a way, science is the missing precondition for a Medicine 3.0 life, not as a theory, but as something you actually embody. That's why I treat silence as the foundation, and why everything external works better when it's guided by it. And this video only talk about the physicality, the body and mind as the vessel is one important area of one's life that silence has profound influence on. But silence is not limited to biology. It influences every other layer of your existence: your purpose, your relationships, your work, and more. I will cover those aspects in future videos, but for today, we must start with the foundation. So the cultivation of silence comes first, not because you need science to access data, doctors, science, or gadgets. People use those already. But silence changes your relationship to them. Instead of chasing every new metric or the trend the marketplace pushes, silence helps you discern which external tools actually serve your wholeness. This also includes the preventative screening that Medicine 2.0 offers: regular blood work, cancer screenings, the age-specific checkups your health system recommends. Silence doesn't reject these. It helps you engage with them proactively, rather than waiting until something breaks. Why? Because it is the only thing that has a complete 24/7 view of the deeper dimensions of your life, and is therefore a highly competent partner, able to deal with the why questions in your specific situation. Because your mind and body around us knows what to do. Eat healthy, exercise regularly, go in bed on time, etc. There's now so much science and knowledge out there about the physical body and what to do with it. But there's no one on earth who can tell you why to do it. But the why comes first. It is by far the most important part, not only in one's health, but throughout one's lifetime, in literally all areas of life. So that's why science sits at the center of the science athlete as a core practice. This is what I've called the radiance of science in my last video. This is where your compass of science is recalibrated. Everything else flows from this. So then, in order to embark on a journey of wholeness, there are the 5 essential pillars that emerge for me: recovery, nutrition, strength, cardio, and mobility. Now, none of these are new. You already know you need to sleep, eat well, move your body. This is not secret knowledge. The internet is overflowing with advice on each of these areas. What's missing, what almost nobody talks about, is the integration. How do you hold all 5 together across a lifetime without burning out on one and neglecting the others? How do you know which one needs attention today in your specific situation? That's what science provides. Not the pillars themselves, but the capacity to sense how to move between them. And wrapping around all this is the enabling layer. One example is taking care of your environment: cleaning, laundry, dishes, equipment, room layout. This is the outer rim that keeps the whole system running. Each practice generates its own logistical demands. Other examples are researching the science and execution of these practices, buying testing gear and tools, storing and maintaining, and much more. If this layer breaks down or not actively built and maintained, friction builds and every other practice becomes harder to access. So these are the main areas to be aware of: science as the core practice, the 5 essential pillars around it, and the enabling layer that wraps around everything. So I didn't design them on paper. They appeared again and again as counterbalances from a compass of science in my specific life situation. And this video is just my attempt to conceptualize it. As a science athlete, I stopped treating them as separate projects. Instead, they became one integrated system. And science is what tells you how to allocate your energy between them. Now, this might sound like a lot. You might be asking, how on earth can I do all these practices? The answer is, you don't max them out, you tune them. So a key part of the philosophy is tuning the dials. Each practice exists on a spectrum of tuning, and science helps you to sense how to tune the dials right now and allocate time and energy between these areas. And allocating energy means more than just showing up. Each pillar is its own ongoing learning process. You research, you test, you integrate, and adjust. And this cycle never ends because your body changes, science evolves, your circumstances shifts. For example, nutrition isn't just eating. It's researching what actually works, setting up the infrastructure, testing it in your life, and refining based on results. The same applies to mobility, to recovery, to all of them. So you're not just managing 5 activities. You're managing 5 knowledge domains at once. And without science, you either get lost in one rabbit hole forever or feel paralyzed trying to stay current on everything. This is why the compass matters. It tells you which pillar needs your learning attention right now and which ones are running smoothly enough to leave alone. This way, you embark on a journey of true well-being and wholeness. So instead of maxing out one dial, you keep a living baseline across all of them, focusing on the essentials, not perfection. This applies to both execution and learning. Maybe this month you're physically training strength and cardio, but your learning attention is on nutrition, researching, testing a new approach, or building the infrastructure for it. Next month, the research might shift to recovery, while nutrition runs on autopilot. The Specialization Marketplace doesn't work this way. It sells you one area to obsess over. All your research, all your learning, all your execution flows into a single pillar. Meanwhile, the other 4 quietly degrade. Not just physically, but your knowledge becomes outdated. Your infrastructure falls apart, and wholeness breaks down. Each specialization has its own way of breaking you. So the key is this: you engage with all dials at an appropriate setting, instead of maxing out one dial and ignoring the others. But what appropriate means is something only your compass of science can tell you. It shows you which dial to adjust next, whether that's your training or your research. You listen, adjust, and refine, again and again, across your lifetime. Most people already have some discipline they love. Martial arts, football or basketball, high rocks or CrossFit style training, climbing, dance, swimming, and so on. The Science Athlete Framework does not ask you to give those up. Instead, it helps you to see what these disciplines already cover and what they don't. For example, I practice martial arts and play soccer from time to time. My compass of science helped me to see that they give me a lot of cardio and some strength. But there are gaps. Mobility isn't fully covered, recovery still needs conscious attention, nutrition is not part of any class. The same thinking applies to any discipline you practice. Your compass of science will show you what your discipline covers and what it leaves empty. The framework helps you to see the whole picture and fill the missing pieces according to your unique situation. So disciplines are not enemies of wholeness, they are anchors. Silence helps you integrate them. In the end, the philosophy of the science athlete is simple. Let science recalibrate your compass. Invest energy across all core practices, tuning the dials for your specific needs. Use your existing disciplines as anchors and fill in what they don't cover. Aim not for perfection in one area, but for wholeness. This, for me, is how science addresses exactly the things that Tia points to with Medicine 3.0. Prevention, individuality, honest risk, and health span, meaning not just how long you live, but how long you live well, with greater functionality and vitality. It is Medicine 3.0, live from the inside out. Before we go further, I need to explain something crucial about why the body practices are so central to this framework and silence. In a monastery or temple, the entire structure supports silence practice. Scheduled meditation times, communal support, healthy meals provided, physical work built into the day, minimal distractions. The monks don't need to build a separate fitness routine. The monastery structure keeps the body naturally functional in its basic forms. People living in these structures are almost completely shielded from the storms of mass, held by the most supportive infrastructure for silence that exists. But we don't live in monasteries. We live in mass. It is the complete opposite environment. High acceleration, constant change, noise, and void of silent structure entirely. Mass is actively hostile to both mind and body. It fragments attention, disrupts sleep, offers terrible food, keeps us sedentary, and floods us with information. So if you only practice silence, if you just sit in the IMS, but neglect your body, it will degrade. You get weak, stiff, inflamed, exhausted. And then your science practice itself degrades, because the body is the vessel. If the vessel is breaking down, you can't go deep. This is also the reason why the science athlete exists. It is the vessel to transcend. The body practices, strength, cardio, mobility, nutrition, recovery, are not hobbies separate from silence practice. They are silence practice in mass. They are the infrastructure that replaces the monastery. They create the conditions that allows you to practice silence deeply and sustainably in an environment working against you. When your body is strong, flexible, well-nourished, and well-rested, you can sit longer. You can go deeper. The body becomes the stable foundation that allows silence to work more profoundly. The science athlete takes the fragmented tools mass created, gyms, fitness programs, nutrition, science, and reintegrates them under silence as the organizing principle. So in order to do all of this, you need to bring them all very close to you, or at least almost all of them, and turn your regular room into a wholeness hub. For example, my space contains a meditation corner for science practice, a squat rack with a pull-up bar, a weight bench, and adjustable power block dumbbells, an indoor bike for cardio, floor space for mobility work, a bed, massage guns, and foam rollers. This complete system fits in a room that is only 20 square meters, or 215 square feet big. Commercial gyms have 1,000 square meters and 50 machines, but the human body only needs the essentials. So when everything exists in one integrated space, something profound happens. Zero commute. No 30 minutes drive to the gym, burning sedentary time and creating stress. Everything's literally 1 to 5 footsteps away. Zero membership fees. You invest in equipment at your own pace. You might start with simple basics and accumulate over the years. Zero waiting. No crowds, no schedules, no sorry that machine is taken. Zero intentional interruption. I can listen to my music, my podcast, or just silence. 24/7 access. My hub never closes. I can freely choose when to engage in these areas. And there's the internet and AI as my source for scientific knowledge. What science helped me create in this room does not exist anywhere in modern society. Gyms have strength and cardio, tiny limited space for mobility, but no room to connect to silence. Yoga studios have mobility and some meditation, but no strength equipment, no cardio machines. This kind of room is for your life. The one investment that pays you back in vitality every single day, for the rest of your life. So this ordinary room has turned into my personal wholeness hub. It is not a regular room anymore. For me, it is the most valuable place for well-being and wholeness. So this room has become a stable foundation where most of my practice happens. But the other part is dynamic and social. Group runs, occasional martial art classes, high rocks training sessions, activities in nature and more. But the ratio shifts seasonally and is dynamic. For example, in winter, maybe it's 90% hub, 10% external. I'm mostly training in my hub, but as summer approaches, on the other hand, it's getting to maybe 50-50. I'm running outside more, training in parks, soaking up the sun, engaging more with outdoor movements and community, like swimming in the lake or go on a hike. This framework is alive and adaptive. This room doesn't cage me, it grounds me. It's the stable center that allows me to move dynamically with the seasons and with life changes. Science determines the ratio. Some weeks I need more solitude, more inward practice. Other weeks I need more community, more external challenge. The compass of science guides that balance. These external disciplines are also vital. They provide community, challenge, and variety. It pushes me in ways solo practice can't. But I can engage with these external disciplines on my own terms, when they serve my wholeness, not when I'm desperately dependent on them to fill every gap. So these external disciplines are enhancements, not dependencies. But again, this is my solution to my situation, and it's still constantly evolving. What I'm sharing here is not a prescription for you to follow. What I'm offering is the framework, the recognition that wholeness requires engagement across multiple domains. But how these domains look for you, at what intensity, with what specific tools and practices, is what your compass of science will reveal to you. So what matters is the journey of integration, a lifelong dynamic process of transcending the fragmentation of modern life by bringing all your practices together under the guidance of silence and engaging with them with the least amount of friction possible. This is what emerged for me from my silence practice. So this is the philosophy of the silence athlete. But more importantly, it's my answer to a question that I think everyone living in mass needs to ask themselves. What does wholeness mean for you? The Specialization Marketplace won't ask you this question. It will sell you pieces. Strength here, flexibility there, calm over here, but never the whole. Our health system won't ask you either. It waits until something breaks, then fixes that one thing. Neither system is interested in your wholeness, and neither has the influence of silence. What I've shared in this video, the Science Athlete Framework, the hub, the dials, this is what emerged for me when I sat with that question through the years of silence practice. Your answer might look completely different. Maybe you arrive at 4 areas or maybe 8. Maybe your hub is outdoors, maybe running is your anchor. What matters is the question, and asking it from somewhere deeper that goes beyond the mass-conditioned mind. For me, that way is silence. It's the only thing that I've found that lets me ask the wholeness question honestly and actually hear the answer. So if anything from this video stays with you, let it be this. Start with silence, ask the question, and trust what emerges. Alright, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you next time.